There's a moment in this appearance that nobody in the room was prepared for. Not the producers, not the journalists, not the senior advisor watching the monitor from the production wing who had been managing Trump communications for 3 years, and who said afterward that in 3 years she had never seen it happen. Not like that, not from that direction, not from him. Nobody expected Barron to speak at all. That is where this story starts. Not with the correction, not with what Trump's face did in the 3 seconds after it, not with the 26 million views that the clip accumulated before the following morning. It starts with a 19-year-old who had been standing at the left edge of the frame for 11 minutes, present but unintroduced, tall enough to be in the shot without trying, looking at his father the way he always looks at his father in public, with the careful, private attention of someone who has been watching a performance for a very long time and knows every beat of it. Then the number came up. Trump had been discussing the youth vote. He does this often and well. It is among the most comfortable territory in his public repertoire, the place where the data and the personal narrative align cleanly. Barron told him, he says, that the Joe Rogan podcast was the move. He said it at the inauguration. He said it at the rally in January. He says it the way a man says something that is both true and useful, because it flatters the son who told him, and because it is, in the record, accurate. The youth vote margin was 36 points, and Barron was among the people who identified the strategy that helped produce it. He said it again in this appearance, in the same cadence, with the same forward lean of a man delivering a line he has delivered enough times to have removed every friction point from its surface. Then he said the number. He said, "We won the youth vote by 41 points. Barron, standing at the left edge of the frame, adjusted his jacket. Not dramatically, not with the broad, percussive adjustment of a man announcing a gesture. The slow, specific adjustment of someone who has heard something that requires a response and is deciding, in the interval of the adjustment, what form the response should take. He adjusted the left side first, then the right. Then both hands came down to his sides. He looked at his father for 2 seconds. The same careful, private attention, but with something added to it now, something operational, the look of a person who has made a decision about what the next 3 seconds will contain. He said, at a volume just sufficient for the microphones to catch, 36, Dad. 2 words, quiet, even, not corrective in the performed sense, not the theatrical, eyebrow-raised correction of someone who wants the room to see them correcting. The flat, factual delivery of someone providing accurate information to a person who needs it, in the specific register of a son who has been providing accurate information to his father since at least the campaign. When that information had been, go on the Rogan podcast. The youth vote is available. Here is how you reach it. Trump paused. The pause lasted 3 seconds. For a man whose public rhythm is built on continuity, on the forward momentum of a speaker who moves from point to point without the intervals that invite interruption, 3 seconds is a long pause. The camera, which had been on Trump, stayed on Trump for all 3 of them. His expression did not change dramatically, but it moved through something. A brief recalibration, visible in the eyes more than the jaw. The specific interior adjustment of a man who has just been corrected by the person he was in the middle of complimenting and is deciding how to proceed. Then he said, 36. Right. 36 points. He said it without breaking stride, folded the correction back into the flow of the sentence, the way you fold a correction in when you want the room to understand that the correction was received and has been incorporated and the conversation is continuing. No acknowledgement of Barron specifically. No, my son just reminded me. Just 36. Right. The room registered it, not loudly. The specific, low collective breath of people who have just witnessed something they were not expecting and are absorbing it before they respond. A journalist in the second row later described it as the most human 30 seconds she had covered in 18 months of Trump appearances. She said, not because it was dramatic, because it wasn't, because a father got a number wrong about a story about his son, and his son quietly said the right number, and the father said the right number back, and the whole thing took 3 seconds and cost nothing and told you something that an hour of prepared remarks couldn't. Barron did not smile. He did not look at the cameras. He looked at his father for 1 more second, with the same careful attention, now containing the particular quality of completion that a face carries when it has done the thing it set out to do and has confirmed the thing landed. And then he looked forward again, back to the left edge of the frame, back to the position of a person who is present and unobtrusive and watching. A camera operator on the right wall later said she had been watching Barron for most of the 11 minutes before the correction, not because she had been directed to, but because of a quality he has that is difficult to describe technically, the quality of a person who is doing something in public by doing nothing in public, the specific presence of someone whose stillness is itself a form of engagement. She said, when he adjusted his jacket, I knew something was about to happen. She said, I've been doing this for 14 years. The jacket adjustment was the tell. The inventory of what the jacket adjustment contained was this: a decision made in the interval between the wrong number and the two-word correction about whether to speak. The decision was not automatic. You can see it in the footage. The adjustment is not immediate. It follows the wrong number by approximately 1 second. The 1 second of a person weighing whether the room requires the correction or whether the correction will cost more than the error. He decided the room required it. He made the adjustment. He said 2 words. He looked forward again. That is the full inventory of the moment. 2 words, 3 seconds. A jacket adjusted slowly and with intention. A father who received the correction and said the right number back without ceremony. A son who returned to the left edge of the frame and looked forward. What the clip showed, in its 26 million views, in the threads that ran it beside every piece of prior reporting about the youth vote strategy, and the Rogan recommendation, and Melania's confirmation that Barron offers advice to his father, was not a correction in the political sense. Not a rebuke, not a challenge, not the dramatic public distancing that the headline implied. It was something smaller and more durable than any of those things. It was a 19-year-old who knew the number because he had been the one who helped produce the result the number described, standing at the left edge of a frame that had not been designed to include him, and saying the right number quietly into a microphone in a room full of people who would spend the next 24 hours trying to decide what it meant. What it meant was 36. He knew it was 36. He said 36. His father said 36 back. That was all. That was enough. If this changed how you see power, hit subscribe. If it didn't, watch it again. The details you missed the first time are the ones that matter most. Notifications on. The next one drops soon.